All right, we're going live, party people. We're going live. We're going live. All right. All right. As always, I got to get this link out. Yes, sir. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see here. What's going on, peoples? Just give me a minute here. Give me a second. Yo, yo. All right. All right. Anybody here yet? No? That's okay. Just waiting. Just waiting. People to come through. Yo, yo. Just waiting for people to show up. Let's see here. Yo, yo. Okay. So, you got one person watching. That's good. What's going on, party people? The place to be. Transmitting live. New York is the city. Brooklyn be the borough. I'm your boy, BK Apologist. Glad that you guys can make it. We're continuing our deep dive analysis of the debate of the year. Dr. Vince Bantu versus Jabari Osase. Is Christianity the white man's religion? It was an amazing time for two worldviews to go head to head. It's very cordial but very spirited conversation. And me and the homie Adam Coleman decided that we should take a ESPN hot take approach to our analysis. Adam won't be able to join me today because he's a daddy once again. Shout out to Adam Coleman. So he's busy doing daddy duty. And but I definitely don't want to really go too far advance without him joining back because we started this together. I definitely want to finish this together. So tonight I'm just going to focus on a very particular point that Jabari tried to make. So with that being said, let me share my screen so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here. So, all right. So, all right. Wait for it to load up.
We're going to start with, is Christian, knowing that what you're saying is deceptive. By the way, you have given us lots of great slides with citations on them. The thing that I'm confused about is it sounds sometimes like your citations actually support my argument, not yours. He shows you that someone is using Heru and Jesus and saying, oh, these are similar. One is thousands of years earlier. So to that practitioner, something sounded similar. And then he says that people in the ancient world do not actually say, I'm going somewhere, family. I'm going right into my presentation, but I have to inoculate you against some of what you've heard. One of the things that is happening here is that he's making claims, no citations, by the way. He just says in the ancient world, people actually didn't say, you're copying us. I'm sure, I heard the brother talk about St. Augustine. He knows this quote. Don't be disingenuous. That which is known as the Christian religion existed amongst the ancients and never did not exist from the beginning of the human race until the time when Christ came in the flesh, at which time the true religion, which already existed, began to be called Christianity. He is actually saying, yeah, the thing that we're saying about Jesus, y'all already been doing. He knows this. This is someone he would call an African church father. That's what he's doing.
All right, so let's stop there. So you see Jabari is using a quote here from St. Augustine. And the quote again is, that which is known as the Christian religion existed among the ancients and never did not exist from the beginning of the human race until the time when Christ came in the flesh, at which time the true religion, which already existed, began to be called Christianity. And the point that Jabari tries to make with this quote is that basically Augustine is acquiescing to the fact that, you know, this comes from another religion, a far more ancient religion, right? This is what he's proposing that Augustine is saying here. But, you know, what's funny is that Augustine knew even back then that people would take his words out of context. Now, how do I know that? Well, we have this thing that he wrote near the end of his life. It's called retractions. And let me give you a little history about the title, because the title can be misleading if you look at it from a modern standpoint. So let's see what patristic scholar William A. Jurgens has to say here. He says, English-speaking authors usually avoid the problem of what the title means by the simple expedient of referring to it by its Latin title, retractions. When it is mentioned in English and in the English translations now available, it invariably referred to as retractions or retractions. Retractions or retractions. The first is an affront to English and the second is incorrect. Actually, Augustine had very little to retract. And the meaning of retractions is reconsiderations, revisions, second thoughts, or as I have called it, corrections. Then stood. Augustine's retractions contains no tearful apologies or strident denunciations of any Catholic doctrine. His aim in writing was not to repudiate elements of his Catholic faith, but to do a better job of presenting them. He refined his position on various issues he had felt not dealt with satisfactorily in previous works, and withdrew certain arguments and analogies, replacing them with better ones. So what was happening here, from his catalog of works, people were taking stuff or misunderstanding the points he was making in his literature. So he decided to actually go back and revisit some of his arguments to better explain the points he was trying to make back then. He has an entire book of just doing that, right? Just combing through his old works and seeing how he can update them and better explain, because probably at that time, just like now, people are misrepresenting what he's saying. Also, I am not Catholic. This is by no means me advocating Catholicism. This is what he is, right? So we're talking about the quote itself. So, says here, right? This is in the retractions, one book of the true religion. This is what he says concerning the quote that Jabari uses. It says, at this time also I wrote a book on the true religion, in which I argued repeatedly and lethally that the one true God, that is the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, is to be worshipped by the true religion, declaring also the greatness of that mercy of his, through which, by a temporal dispensation, the Christian religion, which is the true religion, has been given to man, and it is man's obligation to be inclined by a kind of delight to this same worship of God. So here, Augustine is being very clear on what he defines as true religion. It is the triune God. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And he's saying that it's the Christian religion that is the true religion, right? Keep that in mind. The true religion is Christianity. It says here, again, when I said in our times, this is the Christian religion, which to know and follow is most secure and most certain salvation, I did so with reference to the name only, not to the thing itself, of which this is only the name. For what is now called the Christian religion existed even among the ancients, and was not lacking from the beginning of the human race until, quote, Christ came in the flesh, unquote. From that time, true religion, which already existed, began to be called Christian. For after the resurrection and the ascension into heaven, when the disciples had begun to preach him and many believed, quote, the disciples were first called Christians at Antioch, unquote, as is written. For this reason, I said, in our times, this is the Christian religion, not because it did not exist in former times, but because it had received this name in latter times. Right? So again, what is the true religion? He says it's the Christian religion. And he's saying that religion, the Christian religion, right? The triune God, Father, Son. In fact, let me go back to that. He says, the one on the true religion, in which I argued repeatedly and lengthily that the one true God, that is the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, is to be worshipped by the true religion, declaring also the greatness of the mercy of his, through which by a temporal dispensation, the Christian religion, which is the true religion. Right? So he's saying that it is this true religion, Christianity, this thing that is now called Christianity, this worship of a triune God, the God that the Christians worship, has always existed. And that's definitely keeping in line with Christian theology, right? From the very beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He was here prior to the planet, prior to the universe. The Christian God existed. So when Augustine was talking about how it existed even among the ancients, yes, clearly. He is not saying that it came from ancient Kemet. In fact, it predates ancient Kemet. It predates everything. It predates dating. That's how far back this belief system is, according to Augustine. He makes no acquiescence to it coming from another belief system. No, it's the same belief system. It's the same that's been in existence since time immemorial. That is what he is saying. That is what he is saying. So again, it's definitely a misrepresentation of Augustine's quotes. He's not acquiescing to Christianity being the remix of Kemet. You say, no, it's been around as is since the beginning. And it's just now being called Christianity. You know, it's like air has always been here. You know, before we had the name for it. Right now we've got the name for it. We call it air or oxygen. It doesn't mean that it just showed up because we thought of the name. It was always here, right? So that's the point Augustine is making. It's nothing new, guys. This thing that we're doing is not a new religion. It's a very ancient one. It just goes by a particular name right now. That's all he's saying. That was the point, which completely contradicts whatever point Jabari was trying to make. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that's helpful. You know, one of the things you always want to do is when someone shows you a quote, whether it's about the Bible or about anything else, you always want to look at the context in which this quote is being said. You know what I mean? That's what you have to do. Something that we always do, that we love to say in Context 360. Shout out to my man CMB, the ambassador. The 2020 challenge, right? Whatever verse you're looking at, read 20 verses before that verse and 20 verses after that verse to get at least some sort of baseline context. Now, of course, you shouldn't stop there. You should go at the linguistic, historical, and cultural context in order to understand fully what's being said at that given point in time. And here's an example of someone really not doing that. You know, they saw something that they can use to pad their argument. But the thing is, if you look a little deeper, if you scratch the surface a little bit, you'll find that this is not the case. And honestly, I was able to look for these resources within 5 minutes of Google searching. It's not hard, guys. It really isn't. You know, we always need to verify what's being said. You know, we need to be diligent, whether it's defending the gospel or just understanding the gospel for ourselves. We need to become more diligent. You know, the days of let me just share my testimony, those days are done. Now, I'm not saying your testimony is not powerful, but again, people are not looking for your testimony. They're looking for answers to their questions. And today's Christian has to be thoroughly equipped for that kind of work. So that means you're going to have to, you know, spend some time in the library, get in some books, talk to other Christians who are more seasoned than you are to get their insight, you know, watch some really great videos, do everything you can so that you have a healthy defense for the hope in which you claim to have. You know, because you're going to have people such as Jabari testing you to see if what you believe is true. So we have to be prepared to answer, whether it's Jabari or anyone else. And again, shout out to Jabari. You know, again, good dude. Good dude. Very hospitable. Very nice. I wouldn't mind having a cup of coffee with the guy. I really wouldn't. I think it'd actually be fun. He seems like a very well-mannered, you know, good sense of humor type of guy. You know, so this is no shot to him. But he is taking a quote out of context. And it's not me saying it. It's Augustine. He wrote a book because people were taking his stuff out of context even then. So you heard it from him saying what he meant by this true religion that the ancients knew. So that's about it, guys. That's all I wanted to share. I just want to share that particular point. God willing, sometime next week, you will see me and the homie Adam Coleman, you know, joining forces once again to do to continue the analysis of this amazing debate that me, Adam, Nefertiti, Brother Berean, and a few others who are part of the strategy team. You know, I was honored to be invited to be on the team to help out in the debate. So we're giving you, you know, firsthand eyewitness thoughts from the people who were behind the scenes. And I'm grateful that I was able to do that. I love the connections and friendships I've made. You know, shout out to Chris Broussard. Shout out to Eric Mason. You know, just really allowing us to form like Voltron and get this work in, for the glory of God, and to defend this amazing message that saves. Because that's what we're trying to do at the end of the day, right? We're supposed to save that which is lost, right? Whatever we've received, we need to pass on to others. But we got to get better at the passing. And that's why people like me, CMB, Vocab, Adam, and countless others are trying to do. Get us equipped and up to speed so that we can defend, we can, extend and befriend those outside so they could be part of God's family. So, with that being said, guys, I'm going to be out of here. I hope you enjoy. As they say, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's him again. There's your boy BK Apologist signing off. Peace.